Is this a Lotus or is it a Cayman? Wrong on all accounts, sir, because this is the Alpine A110S. So before we go talking about this lovely Abyss Blue Alpine, I've got to say a big shout out to John Banks in Cambridge, because this in fact is their car and they've got a ton of them, so make sure you go over and check them out. This is the S, and there's actually 4 different variants you can get the A110 in, which is the base, you then have the GT, and then you have the S, and then you have the R. And the R, let me tell you something, I saw it today and boy, it looks delightful, but this still has its place. We're also running some beautiful Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres. We've got 2 15s on the front and 2 4.5 on the rear, meaning we should have loads and loads of grip. Now, before we go out, I just want to let you know what sort of numbers we're running here. This is a 1.8 turbocharged engine with 300 brake horsepower and 340 newton meters. So, I don't want to say the word Cayman too often, but we might just have to. So right now we are living in normal mode, and despite this being quite the race car, the suspension is very smooth. I don't want to go as far as saying buttery smooth, because it's not what this particular model is trying to do. If you were after something smoother, you'd go for the GT, which is more of the cruiser, but still has the same engine, so it can still give you that savage experience. But a little press of this sport button and we go straight into sport. The dials change slightly and you can hear the exhaust decides to have some fun. And you get loads of that exhaust pumped into the cabin, which isn't as artificial as most, and all of those pops really do give you that race car experience. I can tell this is going to be fun. Now when you hold the sports button, the dials change slightly and give you even more of a sportier cockpit. The steering tightens up and the car just becomes a lot more darty, but in a good way. The old pops and bangs that you hear coming out of the exhaust / speakers could be a bit annoying for most, but it's Sunday morning. Who are you really going to be upsetting? And despite this just being a 1.8, it has loads of low down torque. Again, we're doing the speed limit here, but if you get it in, I don't know, a higher gear than necessary and you put your foot down, you really feel that spool. Those turbos really work. Now going back to the original statement about the comfort side of things, could you daily drive this? Yeah, why not? You've not got the biggest of boots in a car like this. I think they call it the frunk and the trunk, but you definitely could deal with it. Again, you're not going to be dropping the kids to school or going to do the nursery run, because if you were, I'm quite sure the pram would have to be made out of Lego for it to fit in this trunk. But other than that, daily duties like you're commuting to work or popping to the shops to get £50–60 worth of shopping, yeah, of course you can. Now, something that I really need to draw attention to is that this weighs just over a ton. I think it was around a 1.1 mark, and that, paired with a 1.8 turbocharged engine, makes this thing not only darty, but very responsive. Again, we're in normal now, and the flick of the button, we go into sport, and it's not overly intrusive, but I know at any times a little kick down straight into third and enough for me to overtake. This on a track would be next level. So it's relatively easy to launch this thing as well. Left foot hard on the brake, press the sport button, hold both paddles, launch control on, launch control on. that torque, baby. And what I see is a 1.79 0 to 30 and a 4.37 0 to 60. Whew. Now, something that I cannot get my head over, if we just keep looking over there, but it's over here. This is a new car, meaning we've got all the OPFs and GPFs and DPFs and any kind of PF you can imagine, bringing that noise down. But somehow Alpine have managed to appease me. Listen to this. That's insane, he says again as he looks to the right when the window button is just over here. This sounds... You know that there's something going on outside. You know there's something going on out there. Now, the reason why we mention this in the same breath as the Cayman quite a lot, you've got 300 horsepower over here. Yep, just right over here. Just, I can feel it. Feel it in my bones. And 340 newton meters of torque. That is thereabouts Cayman territory. Weight, 300 kg lighter. So power to weight ratio will be way better on this than on a Cayman. Don't quote me on figures, but I'm quite sure it would be. And it's mid-engine, even though it's slightly more rear biased than a mid-engine. Let's just call it mid-engine because it's right there. It's not over the wheels on that side, it's slightly this side. And that means in certain circumstances, in other words, when sending this car, it's just flat. This is definitely my cup of tea. Comfort wise, these seats can be ridden all day long with no issues, and these really do hug you. However, they are fixed, so if you had a different driver jumping in the car each time, you kind of have to leave a little key in there to adjust how the seat tilts forward and back. However, going forward and back, you've got a lever just in between your legs that you can pull and tug and have fun. Because I'll tell you something for free. If I buy this vehicle, nobody will drive it. Even the guy who's doing the MOT, you will not drive this car. I will MOT it for you, or you will MOT it for me and I will drive it for you. No one will be driving this car, just me, because it's savage. So now it is hard to not refer to a Cayman when driving the Alpine A110S, because it's a two-seater, mid-engined, and it drives very well. And I've yet to find a moment where I would need more power. Now, with this being a sports car and in the same breath as a Porsche, you'd say, is this the driver's car of the year? Well, I'd say, why not? Does it need a manual, which is the question I asked Brad? I would say kind of. The gearbox DCT, of course, it's super quick, really smooth when in normal. For engagement, yes, but when you've got all of this power available, it's one less thing to think about, because this is surprisingly good. And that's not me saying I thought it'd be a pile of dog poo. It's just, I've driven a Cayman quite recently, and sound aside, if I closed my eyes somehow, okay, don't switch over and think this boy is talking a load of nonsense. If I managed to close my eyes and I was put in this and not told it was this, and I had headphones on, just stay with me. Feeling wise, or okay, put me in as a passenger in both cars, I wouldn't be able to tell you which one's which. Now, if you went into a totally different car, you'd know that, wow, this isn't a Porsche, this isn't an Alpine, it's not riding the same. But back to back as a passenger, you'd be hard pressed to find out which one was which. This is good. C'est good. Oh, actually, Alpine, are they French? Let's speak French. Oh God, merci beaucoup. Nope. How do you say thank you in gracias? No. How the hell do you say danke? Oh my God. I knew I should have gone to French lessons when I was in school. I knew it. Now, closing on pricing, 61k. And if you were interested, again, hit up John Banks, check them out. The Alpines in there are amazing. 61k just for this, just say 61k. Base Alpine, 51. Cayman, around that 51, 53 mark. However, for 61, you get everything. You've got your nice little 7-inch screen, which isn't too distracting. People could say it probably could do with being a tad bigger, but you've got everything you need, and they don't strip anything back because you still got aircon. You've got lovely Alcantara everywhere. This wheel flat bottom is amazing, and something I nearly forgot about, and I'm so glad I didn't. These paddles don't move with the steering wheel, so even if the steering wheel's at a 180 or 90 degree angle, your paddles stay where they are. So again, paddles are just here, ready to be used. And back on the topic of price, it's definitely comparable to a Cayman. People wouldn't want this because they're Porsche fanboys, but I encourage you, go out there and try one, because again, you will be pleasantly surprised. All the way to 7. It's just smiles per gallon. Faux show. So guys, that has been the video on the Alpine A110S. For me, it's a great car. Whether it's better than a Cayman, let me know in the comments. But as usual, if you have found this video helpful, please smash the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, God bless.